So we're going to go ahead and start with the CGO app for Android. And the nice thing about CGO, it's not just for geocaching. You can use it for opencaching.usd and LPLRO, OpenCache UK, Extreme Caching, geocaching.su, GCVote, Geocredit, and Twitter. So it has a lot of platforms.
So are those actually different hides that would be on geocaching.com?
Yep, there'll be different hides other than the ones on geocaching.com. And the Geocredit is those other trackables you see that aren't loggable on geocaching.com. You can log those trackables through the app. Yeah, it's like I don't need more trackables.
I don't need any more.
Quick overview. I'm covering similar stuff, maybe in a different order. What is CGO? We're going to do a tour of the homepage, tour of the menu, talk about maps offline and online, finding and logging geocaches, searches, filters, and storing trackables, and then Q&A. So first, what is CGO? It's available in the Google Play Store for free. Carnero created it. He said to make geocaching easier, to make users lazier. I prefer to say more efficient, but it's just easier when you can go paperless caching. We're going to go over some of those features. And the current version was updated January 15th. It's open source, constantly being updated. The main features of it, you can view caches on a live map. You can use Google Maps or OpenStreetMaps. Search for caches by various criteria, log your finds online or offline, store cache information on your device, create and manage waypoints. You can also do waypoint projections, navigate using Compass Map or other apps. You can import and export GPX files, full support for trackables, and then offline caching functions, including maps. Why use CGO? The best thing is it's free. You just download it and go. And like Roby said earlier, it does not use APIs, so you're not limited. If you're not a premium member, you have access to all cache types, all difficulties, terrains. The only thing you're limited to is premium. It's available in all languages, even offline, if you link it with Google Translate. Communicates with your phone calendar and contacts. You can navigate with your smartwatch. It works with Where You Go app seamlessly, constantly updated. And there's many supported offline maps add-ons. You don't have to use just the ones they have. So we're going to do a tour of the home page. So when you open the app, this is what it looks like. That top, the icon, if you click that, that goes to the About, and that's going to have the version, a Help tab, changelog system, contributors, and license. And I'll go all over these in more detail after we pull them all up. The three buttons on the top are Search, History, and Menu. The middle icons are for the live map, nearby, stored caches, a search, go-to function, and a cache filter type. The bottom portion here shows which service you're using. If you're not geocaching.com, it would say open caching, or whatever you choose. It's going to have your username, find count, confirm that you're logged in, and your coordinates. And then the very bottom has satellite info. It'll show how many it's pulled up, how many you're connected to, your accuracy, your speed, and then fused just means I have my phone set to use the GPS, the Wi-Fi, and the mobile network for more accuracy. And we'll go over how to change all these later as well. So the first one was the About. So if you click that button, I'm just going to show you two tabs. The first tab will show you the version. Right there, it's constantly updated. The second tab is Help. It's got all the links if you have any questions on the app. And then changelog would show all the updates by date, how they happened. System, if you have an issue and you need help, you can send them your system info so they can better troubleshoot it. Contributors are all the people that work on the app, and then the license they have. Search, if you push that search button, it's going to pull up a quick search option. It's going to have the most recent ones that you've opened just right off the bat, and then you can also type in your title just for a quick search. And then you can also hit the microphone and speak what your search is. And then history is similar. It's going to pull up a lot longer list of caches you've opened recently. So say you open a cache and you accidentally back out, you don't have to go try and find it again. You can just hit that button and it'll pull up all your recent ones. And then a quick overview for the sidebar. The yellow means you found it. It's the happy smiley. If it's orange or red, depending on your screen, that means you have a log stored offline. You haven't logged it online, but there's something saved offline. The disk here means the cache is stored offline. Where Cachely had lists, we have folders, but it works in essence pretty much the same. Flag, there's a flag. So I have the final for Golem's Cave saved, so that flag means I have an additional waypoint, or if it's a multi, or even if I'm in the middle of it, it'll just keep my flags. And then pencil, where was the pencil? There. That means I have a note added. So this Snow White is a series, and I've only found one of them, but you have to write something down in the cache, so I put a note on it so I have it for later. And then no smiley just means you either haven't looked for it or you DNF'd it. We don't get the DNF icon, it just stays like that. No smiley, no sad face, nothing. And then on this side, when it has the TB icon, that means allegedly there's trackables in there. And then the number is how many are there, and then the bottom number is how many favorite points it has. So then menu, you have the map, filter, and menu, and we're going to cover that in more detail later, but that's just what those icons mean. And then for these icons, a little bit more detail. This live map shows the live view on 4 standard map options, and it auto refreshes, so if you scroll, it pulls everything up, so it just scrolls as you go. Nearby tells you everything nearby in a list view instead of a map view. Stored is like your list. You can create folders and store stuff offline. This search, instead of that one, this one has a lot more details and options we'll go over later. Go to, you can direct add coordinates and do projections to see what caches are near there. And then this is a filter just for cache types, and that's all that filters. And then down here, you've got your service username, login status, and location. If you click that, it brings up all the services I talked about. I'm only logged into geocaching.com, but if you click each one, a login screen would pop up. And then down here with the satellites, if you click that, here's where you can choose what level you want to use. You can do GPS only, Wi-Fi and mobile networks, or GPS, Wi-Fi, and mobile networks. If I'm caching where I have battery or an external battery, I always do the top one. If I'm in the mountains, I'll just do GPS only, put my phone in airplane mode, and then the battery will last all day. And then if you click the menu button, the first one is pocket queries. If you click that, that'll load any pocket queries that you've recently run on geocaching.com. You just click it and a list of any recent ones will do that, and then you can load them from there.
Jason, does that mean the most recent one you ran, or it has a limit of how far back in time it will go to a pocket query?
Usually, like if I did a pocket query 2 weeks ago, it won't even pull up as an option.
Okay.
Usually, I think it's just that week. Anything you ran, it'll find it. Next is settings. You've got services, appearance, cache details, map, logging, offline, navigation, and system. We'll go over those real quick. Services you already saw. Those are just all the options you can use CGO for. Appearance. You can do light skin instead of black background and white text. It's white background with black text. You can do show address. I do plain logs because sometimes if people have colors all over their logs, it's hard to read them. So I just have it convert them. You can use English and then imperial or metric. And then cache details. This is the tab I use the most. You can make a tab when you're looking at the logbook. You can have a separate tab that only shows your friends' logs and your logs. So if you want to phone a friend, you can scroll to that tab, and it'll just show the people you know who found it. The reason I use this tab the most is exclude own and found. I usually have that turned on, but if a friend needs help or I'm caching with a friend, I'll turn that off so maybe I have a cache that they don't, so I can see what they're seeing. And then exclude disabled, just so you don't waste your time. And map. You can select your map source. I do Google Satellites, my standard. There's offline maps. You can set your directory. Like, we'll get more into it later with maps, but you can download maps, put them in a directory, link it to the directory, and then you'll have endless options. Scale map text, so if you're zooming, it doesn't keep the text big or too small. You can decide how many waypoints it shows on your live map. So if I have, like for example, we have 2 events here, my cache, and then I have 2 waypoints. It would show the 2 events, my cache, and the waypoints. But if there were more than 10 caches, it would just show the caches instead of the waypoints, and you can change that to any number. And then show direction, just on the screen below the cache. I'll show that in a second, but it shows a general direction, kind of like that arrow next to the distance. And then show trail is just like your geo trail. Like as you're walking, it just has a white line following you if you need to backtrack. Logging. Just like the Cachely app, you can set up a basic signature. I also put an empty spot there just so I can type my log. I have thanks whoever the cache owner is, logged whatever the cache name is from a 7th galaxy using CGO, and then cache find number. And then I have it insert automatically, so I just type my custom log right above it. And then I have it set where all my TVs visit automatically. I don't have to go and do that manually. And then you also have offline logging we'll get into more later. And then some of the options for the auto stuff is date, time, date, end time, user, number, owner, name, link, and log text. Those can all be set. Offline data. Static maps are great. If you store your cache offline into a folder, instead of having to save a ton of maps, the static maps does about 6 maps of 2 satellites, one really zoomed in, one a little bit zoomed out, and then it switches to a street view map and just goes back. So you have 6 levels of zoom stored of just photos, so you don't have to download maps, it just has the photos of them. Save images from logs. I have that. If I post an image in a log, it'll put it in a separate folder on my phone so I don't delete my picture on accident. And then ask for list. If you're storing it offline, it'll say which list you want it in. Navigation. We'll see these images soon, but you have the compass tool. If you tap the compass, then your compass screen pops up. But if you do a long tap, then your secondary navigation would pop up. I have my long tap set for navigation driving, and you can change the secondary tap to any navigation you like. You can do walking, you could do biking, you could do transit, you could do another different type of compass. It's whatever you choose. And then the system, you have your GPX info, you can back up your system, restore it, and a bunch of this stuff. I'm not a tech guy, so I don't really mess with any of that. But it is open source, so you have tons of options. Okay, so the next thing on the main menu, we're still on that, is utility programs. These are all free add-ons that CGO can use. You have a calendar plugin, so if I want to do an event, I'll just add it to my calendar and it puts it on my Google Calendar. Send to CGO. You can send stuff to your computer, to your phone, back and forth. Contacts plugin, kind of like Benji's app. You can, if I have somebody's real name in my contacts and I type in their geocaching name as a nickname, it'll link their contact with the app. It's compatible with the Android Watch. There's several different offline maps you can do. There's B-Router and Locus here. It's got the barcode scanner, Bluetooth. If you have a Bluetooth GPS, you can add that as more accuracy. More GPS tools, the Where You Go app, and then Google Translate, and also a separate Pocket Query Creator. So there's a lot of add-on programs that are free that all work seamlessly. Scan geocode, simple, it just opens a barcode or a scanner to read a barcode or a QR code. A lot of puzzles will utilize those. Invite friends, just as advertised, it'll email a friend, hey, you should try out CGO. And then about CGO, if you click that, it's the same thing as clicking the icon, it just goes to those about tabs. So maps offline and online. So here's like some of the options for offline. Like I said, you have you can store directories of offline maps. These are those are the two add-ons they have, but you can also do Radar, R Maps, Street View, Oryx Maps, Navigon, Sigic, a bunch of stuff I've never heard of. Walking, biking, transit. So you can download all these external maps and link them to your CGO. And those will all be offline available. Maybe there. So if I hit live map, it just fills the map up. And then if I scrolled, it would load more and whatnot. The smileys are fines. Stars, where was the star? So that means I own that cache right there if it's got the star. If there's nothing, I haven't found it or I DNF'd it. Standard icons, you've got traditional, letterbox, mystery, virtual, there's a multi in there somewhere. The blue arrow is where your current location is. And then you just touch whichever cache you want to get more info on, which we'll cover in the caching chapter. And then if you hit that button, it centers on yourself, which is the blue arrow, it'll center over there. And then there's different map view options we'll cover, and then also map menu we'll cover. So without doing any additional add-ons, these are the 4 maps you're going to get with CGO. You have Google Map, Google Satellite, OSM Mapnik, and OSM Cycle Map. And I'll have screenshots of what those all look like. But those are your 4 standard. Okay, so that's what the map looks like. It's your basic street view. Then you got Satellite, Mapnik, and Cycle Map. In urban setting, this is the most helpful. And then it's just whatever your preference is. They're all very similar in an urban setting, and they're going to be different like if you're on a mountain. One thing that's nice about satellite view, assuming they're good coordinates, you can zoom in. Oh, lamppost. It's like done. Save that for winter. And then if you're on a mountain, I loaded Mount Elbert, the highest cache. The maps are going to be some more helpful, some less helpful. Cycle map's the best if you're hiking because it's got the topo lines. Sat view helps, but when you're in a field of rocks, it's not incredibly beneficial. And then these ones, although they don't have the topo lines, they kind of show the trail a little bit easier. So I kind of just cycle through them all if I need to. So live map. Okay, so when you push the menu on live map, you can disable live. Like this is way too many caches to manage. So if I'm scrolling around or whatever, I can hit disable live, and only the ones that are loaded are going to stay. I can scroll around and it's not going to load more. So you can kind of slow it down. Hint, if you hit hint, it'll pop up down here. I think that's the next animation. Compass brings up the compass screen. I don't have this particular cache stored offline, but I could hit that to set it. Strategy we'll cover in a second, and then show as list turns this map view into a list view instead. I thought I had an animation. Let me go back one. I think I might have missed it. Okay, maybe not, but. And then this is what it looks like if you just have a single cache. It's a lot cleaner. You can enable live and then it'll fill it up again. If you hit hint, it'll pop up here. Maybe that's a later slide. And then you got your same compass and map menus.
I don't don't see the hint
There it is.
on any of these.
Huh?
I don't see that hint when we pull down on the live map.
On the live map?
Isn't that where we're at? The 3 dots in the corner?
This is if you have like the specific cache open.
Okay.
Like if you click on a cache, then it'll show the hint option. Like if you're looking for a specific cache. Sorry, I think I skipped that part. But yeah, if you hit the hint, then it'll pop up here. And the reason that would be beneficial is you don't have to go back and forth between the text and the map. You can just keep walking, see the hint. And that also works on the compass view as well. The hint button is that, and then it'll pop up right here. So if you're using your compass, you can keep walking without going back and forth. And then it's pretty basic compass. I have it for GPS and magnetic compass. It'll have your distance, bearing, how many satellites, accuracy, and what settings you have. If you hit the menu on the compass, you have start talking, log visit, and select destination. Log visit is you found it, you don't want to go back to the cache page, you can just log it right from the compass. Select destination, if they have multiple coordinates like parking lot or cache, starting points, waypoint 1, you can pick which one to navigate to. And then the start talking is for vision impaired. You click it and it'll say like 3 o'clock 200 feet, 1 o'clock 100 feet, and guide you to ground zero. And then the map settings, you can hide own and found caches, hide disabled, show the direction, show circles. Like Benji mentioned, you get those red circles around it if you'd like. I usually have that turned off. And then show trail is this red line. So I know I'm southeast of this cache. And then the strategy, I actually had to Google this because I've never used it. I didn't even know what it was. So I learned something. I always have mine on detailed, but if you do fast, it'll do approximate coordinates and try to identify cache type. So if you're just in an area, I want to know if there's any caches nearby, go fast and then figure it out later. Detailed is going to load details for 20 caches around your position. And then speed dependent, depending on how fast you're going, it'll automatically switch to detailed or fast. The most accurate is detailed. And then the fast strategy will only pull up traditional multi-mystery and events. And then the other ones will still pull up, but there'll be question marks unless you click them, then it'll load more.
So would that be good if you're driving and just trying to see what's quickly in the area without getting too much information?
Yeah, like is there a cache at my exit in 2 miles? Is it worth pulling off? And there's always a cache, so just pull off.
That's a good rule of thumb.
And then show as list. All these caches on this map are now in list form. So like I said, the star means I own it. That means I found it. I haven't looked for those. And then it's got that arrow that we talked about, the directional arrow, the distance, and then the arrow of where I'd be going. So finding and logging. Different picture of my chameleon. I had to change it up a little. So you hit the live map icon. This is the screenshot I grabbed. You saw it earlier. And like I said, my favorite setting is hiding owned caches and found caches. This looks a lot better. I only have to worry about these ones. Okay, so let's say I want to find this cache. And you should all know I own it and there's a note, but we're going to pretend we're going to find that one. So I click that button, and then this pops up, and it just gives you, it dims the map and just gives you a basic overview. Parker has stones, and then if you want to see the rest of the title, you do more details. Type is mystery cache, size is other, has the GC code, distance, difficulty, terrain, favorites. I don't have it stored offline. If I wanted to, I could hit the disk button and save it. If it was stored online, and say I stored it even 5 weeks ago, I can hit refresh and it'll restore any new logs. If I hit the compass from this screen, it'll pull up that compass screen that we saw, and you can just go directly. You don't have to open the cache page all the way. If I hit the menu, something happens. Oh, it was just a similar, you can do navigate, log find, things like that. Oh, there it is. So you got your compass, you've got your navigate. If you hit the navigate, you can do compass, map, maps forge beta, driving or walking. You have different navigating options. And again, these are the standard. I didn't put any additional maps on. Caches around, it'll pull up another list of caches near the cache you're looking at. So it's like all integrated. Like you can go really deep or really far out. And then open in browser is pretty obvious. It'll just open it up on your browser. Share cache, it's similar to the sharing CGO. It'll send an email to your friend, hey, check out CGO and this cache, and it'll have a link to both. And then export, if I want to make it a GPX, field note, or send it to a friend, that's what that button's for. And then if we did the caches around, it does the list view. If you hit the map, then you're back to square one and looking at the map view. So it's all connected. If you hit the nearby next to the live map icon, you're going to get the same caches you would get with the live map, but they're going to be listed, so it's going to load faster, and you're going to get the details right away, instead of having to click each icon. And what was the difference between those? Okay, so this one I did with finds and own caches turned on, and there aren't any caches on this list that I could do. So then I switched the setting, and now it's just showing all the caches I can do from the same location, just with different settings. So now I have to go 0.6 miles from my first cache I can find, where when I did this, I was sitting 40 feet from one of my caches. So that kind of shows how you can work that. And then everything always has the few buttons up here. That's to go to the map view, filter, and menu, and we're going to do the filter in more detail later. There we go. So we're going to say we're going to find and log this cache, which is the one in the library. So we're going to make it easy. It says when I did the screenshot last night, there was 4 trackables, 11 favorites. So we're going to click that, and then it opens up the more details. You get the full title, type, size, geocode, distance, difficulty, turning favorites, owner, when it was hidden, the location, and the coordinates. Same thing, you're going to get compass navigation, menu, and menu up here. We'll go over those in detail soon. You have your list of attributes as icons here. If I had it online, it would say which online list, or offline, it would say which offline list it was stored in, or I can store it. Because I'm the owner, it's automatically on my watch list. If there were other watchers, it tells you how many people are watching it. And then we're going to be going through these at the bottom. There's a bunch of menus you can swipe right and left to see. And if you click the attributes, it'll change them to text view in case you don't have them all memorized. And they're actually pretty helpful. I did a cache just last week. Couldn't find it, did a phone a friend, got a hint, and if I would have read the attributes, it said tree climb, and it's like, oh, that was easy. I just wasn't going high enough.
When you put it on a watch list, does that link to geocaching.com's watch list as well?
And it's actually easier to take things off your watch list with the app, because with geocaching you have to go remove from watch list, and then are you sure?
Yes.
Here I just push a button and I'm done. So if I want to take something off my watch list, I'll actually open it in the app just to do it. So then if you scroll down, still on the details tab, scrolling down, you can see we're here. It brings up the map, just the basic back screen. The cache is going to be the blue dot. If you click that, then you get the navigate options, again, compass map, static maps, driving, walking, which would be also the same thing as clicking that. So there's a lot of different ways to get to things. And I think here's where we scroll through the tabs. Okay, so if you swipe, we were on details, now we're on waypoints. This could be empty, depends on what cache you're doing. I have 2 parking coordinates. I have the first waypoint is right there, Xeriscape North, Xeriscape South is right there, and then final's hidden. Since I'm the owner, that's why I can see that, but usually you won't even see that waypoint. And you can also, when you're viewing it, it'll show you the waypoints on the map, other than the final. And then if you touch it, like this one is Xeriscape South, if I touch that button, then it'll give me more details. This one, it just says stage 2, but like on my hiking caches, it'll say information about trailheads or what vehicle you need, things like that. You can also add waypoints, like we talked about if you're doing a multi, or if you need to do a projection as well. You hit add waypoint, and then you have this screen where you can type in the coordinates. You have bearing and distance if you need to do a projection. You have different titles like final, parking, trailhead, question to answer. Stage of multicache, final, reference point. You can change what it is, and you can also change the title. You can mark it as visited, so if you're doing a multi and you don't want to accidentally go backwards, just mark it as visited, it'll have a check mark. No change to cache coordinates, it stays just within as a waypoint. You can set it as cache coordinates in CGO, so anytime you open that cache from here on out, it'll have the final instead of the posted coordinates. Or you could do set cache coordinates in CGO and on the website. That'll change it in CGO and then also the corrected coords on the website, so you'll always have the final, even if you ditch the app or whatever. And then, like I said, you can click visited, and then you'll see the check marks. So I've done that one, I've done that one, and then you can just work your way down. And then description is the longest one. I just went through this quick because we're not going to read it. But so you have the description tab, and it's going to have everything, the short descriptions on top and then the long description. And then at the bottom, you'll have your hint, and then there's a personal note you can add. I'm hiding it because it has all the answers to the puzzle. And then if you have a hint and you don't know how to read that yet, you just touch it, and then it changes it automatically for you. And I don't know if it was intentional or not, but if someone has hidden text in a cache page, it'll show up as regular text. I was doing a mystery cache once, and at the very bottom it said, final is at north, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, well, that's a stupid mystery. And then I went to log it, and it was hidden text, but on the app it pulled it up.
Is that because you converted it all to the same color on the
Yeah.
settings?
So yeah, it pulled, and that, yeah, it'll pull up, because it was white text on the website. So I could see it on this black background. So sometimes it helps with puzzles inadvertently. And then the next swipe over is logbook. This shows all the logs. There's 30 of them, and you can just scroll down. Say this one is ciphered, same thing, you touch it, it'll go to regular text. And then if you scroll again, you have friends and own logs. So then I have a list of people I can contact if I can't find the cache. And then if you scroll again, you've got inventory. These are the trackables that should be there. And then one more time is any images that were either put on the cache page by the owner or by finders. And like I said, you can link the contacts with your app. If I click on Bob, open contact card would open it up in my phone contacts, and then I could call him, text him, email him. It'll show what caches he's hidden, caches he's found. It can open his profile in the browser, or I can just send him a message through gc.com. And then the menu for the geocache, you've got log visit. That's self-explanatory. You want to log it, whether you found it or not. Caches around, same. It's going to pull up the list view of the caches near it. Open in browser opens it up on gc.com. You can store it offline. If it is stored offline, you can refresh it and get new logs. You can share it with friends. You can put it on your ignore list. You can export it as a GPX, a field note, or a personal note. You can add a personal note, and you can invite friends to find that cache. So we're going to hit log visit, and something's gonna happen. So this is what pops up if you're gonna log your visit, and this doesn't matter where you hit it from, because there's a lot of places you could log it from the map, from the compass. You have a drop-down menu here. You can say found it, didn't find it, write note, needs maintenance, needs archived, any of those options. The date, and then it's going to have if you have it set, it'll put in your autofill, and then you can add more. And then it also has your trackable inventory below the log, and I have it set to all visited.
That'll save a lot of time.
Yeah, especially when you have a ton. I wish they would alphabetize them by trackable code instead of name, because I don't know the names. You can attach images, smileys. You can repeat your last log. If you did a power trail, you can just copy paste your log, save offline, or you can clear your log. If you hit attach image, existing means you already took the picture, you want to add it to the log. New is you're going to take a picture right now. You can caption it, add a description, you can scale it so it doesn't take as much data if you're not at home, and then just hit OK to attach it. And then the plus sign, you can add like date and time, user, all those things that were in the automatic signatures you can add manually with that. And then trackables. If you scroll all the way to the bottom of the trackables, you're going to see it change all. And you can change them all to do nothing, visited, or dropped off if you're doing a bulk. And then once you've done everything you're going to do, then you just hit the little paper airplane and it submits it. And then if for some reason it fails, it'll just save it. You're not going to lose it. It'll just save it and be an orange or red smiley instead of a yellow smiley. And then you can resubmit. They fixed the bugs, but like a few months ago, it would say it didn't, and then you'd hit submit, and then you'd get 2 logs. So if it seems buggy, go check the cache page and make sure it didn't go twice. Searching, filters, and storing. So this is the stored icon. I'm kind of going backwards on the title. So here's the folders I have stored. They don't really have a set thing. They're just caches I've stored. I have all the DPL caches saved. I get a lot of questions on them, so I just have them all ready to go. Found, if I'm out caching with people, like say I'm caching with Bob, I'll make a Bob folder with all of our target caches, and as we find them, I'll move them to found so they're off my map and out of my hair. Hard as hell is the virtual I'm doing. I've got a bunch of waypoints and tracker marks stored. Trail mix, or signed is the ones, challenges I've signed but don't qualify for yet, so I keep track of them and don't forget I signed them. Trail mix is a series I'm working on. I like doing where I goes, so I store the ones I haven't done yet. And then it also has all caches on your phone or history of the most recent ones. And then in the menu, I opened up the DPL folder, and you've got sort, select, refresh, move all, copy all, remove all, show on map, create new list, remove current list, bunch of stuff. Sorting you can do by TB inventory, date hidden, log stored, difficulty distance, pretty much anything you'd ever want to sort, you have that option, and it'll do it just within your saved ones. And then refresh all. All my DPLs are like 265 days old, so if I refresh it, it'll get all the new logs, the new favorites, the new trackables, everything will be updated. You can copy them and make new lists, you can move them, remove them, do the map view. You can create a new list if you want to move stuff around, things like that. And then the rest of it, so you import, and then you can also export. So if this is a list me and my friend found together, I can do export, send them a GPX of what we did that day, and then they'll have the same list of everything for easier logging. And then you can make lists unique. If you have it saved in multiple folders, you can just have it wipe it out and everything but the folder you want it in. And then show on map, same thing. It only shows your list on the map, so you don't get cluttered with other stuff. Or if you have specific targets, that's all you're going to see, and you don't have to worry about anything else. So now we're going to do, this one's pretty It's simple. It's just a cache type filter, and that's all it does. You can select which cache type you want to find, and then it'll keep it at that filter until you change it. And that doesn't matter if you're doing live map, nearby, stored, search, whatever you do, it's only going to show that type. And then go to, I've actually never used this function. But when you hit it, you can type coordinates in, you can do projection, and then it'll show you caches near there, and then it keeps the history. I don't really see a point to it, but it is an option. I've never used it. If you find a good use for it, then tell me. And then search button. Again, this search button is just a quick by title. This one has a lot more options. You can search by coordinates, by address, by GC code, by keywords, by geocode, or keyword, by username, by owner name, and then you can also search trackables. And if you click on that button that just disappeared, it'll pull up just the caches you own, if you just need to pull one of those up. And then filters, you've got a bunch of filters: type, size, terrain, difficulty, attribute, status, origin, distance, favorites, favorites percentage, and personal data. And they all have subcategories we're not going to go through because that would take a while. So I just picked one for an example. So favorites, you can do more than 10, 20, 50, 100, 200, 500 favorites and search for only that. And just for fun, I did that. I searched for more than 100 favorite points, and it took 1,992 caches, and the closest one's 15.5 miles. And so if you have a specific target, then you just load it and it'll find it. And then, yeah, if your filter's on, it works for maps, nearest, list, stored, until you hit the trash can. Where's the light? Until you hit that trash can, that filter will stay on. Trackables. So I pulled up some screens we've already seen. So like from a list view, you can see trackable there. If you're on the cache page, on the inventory tab, it'll show trackables. And then you can also search for trackables. Question, is it there? This is one of my favorite features. So I pulled up two trackables. This one is in the library 13 days ago. So odds are it's pretty good it's there. It'll show the last log, how long it's been. This one I did as a trick, 352 days ago. Any normal cache I would say it's gone, but this cache hasn't been found since I put it there, so it's probably still there. And then same thing, everything's got menus. If you want to log the trackable, that's the pencil. You can do a discover, grab, retrieved, or note. And then open in browser if you want to see the trackables GC page. And there's a free trackable discovery. So I just use this one for an example. Whether I'm discovering it, picking it up, whatever. I type in the code here, and then it's going to pull up this page. You can do retrieved, grabbed, note, or discovered, the day, and then you just hit the arrow to submit it. And then one other cool thing about trackables, like I have it set to all visited, but if you want to drop some off or you don't want some to dip, you can individually change them, like dropped off, do nothing, visited, dropped off, visited. And those are your three options, and you can go down the list individually and set those. And I went really fast, but any questions? That's all I got.
Is this available online?
It will be.
He said that his is yours there.
It will be, yeah.
And what website would I want to go to?
I'll put a link on the event page.
Okay, thank you.
Any other CGO questions?
Do you see the trackable inventory when you're looking at a cache? I'm on your fiddle DB. Is it like the move?
Yeah, so you just keep scrolling. Yeah, it should be a.
Very, very fresh.
Maybe all the cache. If there's no trackables, that tab won't be there. So maybe someone grabbed all four of them. Oh, there you go.
Okay.
So So there's more in it now.
There's 6.
Woohoo! Cool. Any other questions? Cool.
Cool. Thank you. All right, to everyone on Periscope, thanks for joining and have a great day.
Oh no, Reese's Pieces everywhere.
There is a reason, but it wouldn't be, I'd have to almost, just sit down and
I know.